Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be showing you how I make yogurt at home. There's a lot of different ways people make yogurt. They use a lot of machines. They keep it fermenting in their oven on a low temperature for several hours. I don't do any of that. I make it on the stovetop in one step, and then I don't use any more electricity after that for the rest of the process. I've been making it this way for I think probably over 4 years, maybe 5 years. And it's really, really simple. It tastes great, and you know exactly what's in it and where it comes from. So let me show you the essentials of what you need to do this. Now, what you're going to use at home can vary depending on what you have available or how you prefer to store it. This is just how I do it. I'll tell you what is essential that you use is an organic whole milk, and you need a yogurt starter culture. I think the first culture I used was one of the Greek yogurts. Just a plain yogurt is what you want to use for your starter culture. Okay, but we don't need this yet, so we'll put this aside. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour this into a stock pot. I am doing 1 gallon. Okay, and we're going to start with temperature on high. Now I'll show you the time, 6:06 in the evening. It does take a little bit of time to get 1 gallon of milk straight out of the refrigerator up to a boiling temperature, but that's no big deal. So I'm going to cut out. I'll come back as this water starts to heat up, and I'll show you how I handle it as it boils, because I think this is kind of an important step, and I'll show you how it goes along the way. So I turned on the wrong burner on my stove. I do this a lot. I don't know why. So I turned off the back burner, turned on the front burner. It's on high, electric stovetop. I've only had it for 5 years. I'll figure it out. Now it's getting close to the boiling point, and you can see the surface is starting to ripple and a thin skin is starting to form on there. So now I'm just going to turn the heat down to about a medium high there. And we will watch it closely now. It's been about 25 minutes on the stovetop, and it's starting to boil up. So now I'm going to turn the temperature down a little bit further, because I want to kind of hold it at this expanding boil for as long as possible. If I can get it to stay there for 2 minutes, that's okay. If I can get it for 4 or 5, it's even better. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust the heat down just a little bit at a time, just to try and maintain it where it's at. And it's going to hold like this, and it's going to set up those proteins and sugars for fermentation, and I think it makes a better yogurt in the end the longer that you're able to hold it in this phase right here. Now once those proteins and sugars can no longer hold the surface tension of these bubbles, it's going to just all at once collapse, and that's when I'll cut off the heat, and I'll wait for a little while for it to cool off to a certain temperature. Now this step takes some practice and timing, and if you're not able to do this the first time or the 5th time or whatever, it's no big deal. Your yogurt is still going to turn out just fine. It's going to taste great. but I think it's just a little bit creamier and a little bit tastier if you're able to maintain this boil for several minutes. Sometimes people get picky and say that you have to do things a certain way, and I find that a lot of times you know, you don't have to be that exact with everything. You don't have to wait till something is exactly at a certain temperature, or you don't have to wait until the pH of something is exactly where they say it needs to be. It'll be just fine. And it's all trial and error. I don't use any gauges or meters or thermometers. I've just been doing this for many years, and it's just a matter of getting used to what you're doing and knowing how things are supposed to progress and to reach the end product that you're looking for. Oh, it's breaking the surface. I'm not going to let it overflow onto the stovetop though. It makes a burned mess. I don't want to clean that up. So we're doing okay. It looks like it's starting to die down a little bit. And you'll see here it's just a matter of a few moments. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to turn off the stovetop, and now I'm just going to let it sit and cool. This part's going to take maybe about an hour to cool down to the temperature that I want it to be at before we move on to the next step. I'm not even going to cover it. For the next step, here's what we're going to need. A whisk, a ladle, our starter culture, a spoon, a glass bowl, and our boiled milk that has been sitting on the stove, cooling off for about an hour and 10 minutes now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and ladle maybe 4 cups, 3 or 4 cups of this milk into the glass bowl. And we'll do one more here. I think when you buy yogurt at the store, the little containers of yogurt are probably, what, 8 ounces? This is a 12-ounce jar. So I'm going to use half, maybe a little bit more than half. And I'm going to scoop it out, spoon it out, and put it into the milk. Now what we're doing is we're introducing the yogurt culture, the bacteria, into this, and we're tempering it. So if we took this yogurt and put it in the big pot of the boiled water, it may be too hot. So now we're tempering it by doing it this way. It's a little bit hard to do with one hand. And let me get one more spoon out of there. Now I'm going to simply whisk the starter yogurt culture into the couple cups full of milk that I have in the glass bowl. And once I get that nicely evenly mixed and there's no clumps of the yogurt anymore, now I'm going to take this bowl and reintroduce it back into the main pot with the boiled milk. And I'm going to give that a whisk and mix that up. Now when I do this, a little trick is you may have some scalded milk stuck to the bottom. I try not to drag the whisk along the bottom. I keep it floating in the middle and just mix it up. Okay? And that's it. That is already turning into yogurt as we speak. Now I'll show you how I set up for the final fermentation and how long I let that go for. Because I've been doing this for a long time, I know already that 1 gallon of milk with my starter culture is going to fill 9 of these pint-sized mason jars. So I have those 9 jars inside a roasting pot, a roasting pan, and I have a lid. I have that roasting pan sitting on top of a couple bath towels. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these jars with the milk and the yogurt starter culture that we mixed up just before. And I'm going to fill them, put the caps on there, fill this pan with hot water, put the lid on, wrap it up in the towel, let it sit here overnight. Tomorrow morning when we come back, we're going to have fresh, clean, delicious yogurt. We'll put it in the fridge, and after it chills, it's good to eat. And let me show you how we go from here. The jars are filled with the milk and the starter culture, and they're capped, and they're sitting inside the roasting pan. And then I fill the roasting pan with warm to hot water from the tap. Now, all we do is cover that, and then I take these bath towels and I wrap it up. Okay, and that's going to keep it warm. The fermentation is going to happen inside of here. I usually let this sit for a minimum of 6 hours. Lately, I've been letting it go 18 up to 24 hours. I find that it gets a little bit thicker. It's a little bit more sour, which is how I actually prefer it. So I feel like it has a little longer time to ferment. And that's just the way I like it. If you like it a little bit less sour, you can let it go for 6 hours or 8 hours and you'll be good to go. Now you don't necessarily need to use the mason jars. As long as you have a vessel that will fit inside of another container that you can fill with the warm water, wrap with the towels and keep it warm, you can use anything you want to use. If you prefer to use, you know, a larger single jar or a half-gallon mason jar and just do one container, you can certainly do that too. This is pretty forgiving process here. So we're going to let this sit. It's about 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm going to let this sit overnight. After I take the kids to school in the morning, we'll come back and take a look at it, and I'll show you the finished product. There's the yogurt, fermented, and that's ready. All you have to do now, put this in the fridge, and once it's chilled, it's ready to eat. You see, it's a little bit of work and it takes a little bit of time. It's no big deal. You can do this. There's plenty of ways to do this. You can watch a few more videos on YouTube and see which method suits you the best. I've been doing it this way for many years, and it works good for me. So this is how I go about it. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, leave those. The water's cloudy because when I was pouring the milk and starter culture into the jars, I missed a little bit and spilled some, but no big deal. I'll just rinse that out and wash it, and that's all that is all about. If you try this, let me know how it turned out. Okay? Go ahead and make yourself some yogurt at home. Easy, delicious, nutritious, so good for you. And there's no better way to do it than to make your own. All right, bye now.